This year, during the campaign 2023 of the Bisenzio Project, we have investigated a field in the district named Olmo Bello. We are not very far from the settlement area, but anyway, we have worked in a cemeterial field. Our aim was to either confirm or rule out the interpretation of geophysical anomalies recorded between 2015 and 2017. In fact, our colleagues, the geophysicists in Vienna, canvassed here an interpretation, quite interesting interpretation. And they suggested the presence of a pathway and of funerary contexts. Indeed, at the beginning of the 20th century, here in this area, the archaeologists uncovered some pathways, funerary pathway, ritual pathways, as well as some specific, special funerary monuments, burial mounds. But as far as we know, those features of the Olmo Bello cemeterial area were described in a rather synthetic way. That's why we wanted to be sure about the new contexts and, if possible, to document them much better, thanks to new technologies. In this sounding, we uncovered a long wall, indeed, that bordered from northeast the surface of a path. And you can see here remnants of this pathway. To the west, you can perceive the hints of a second wall supporting westwards this path. Actually, the bedrock, local bedrock, runs down westwards. That's why they needed to support the pathway in that direction. So, we could confirm the interpretation of our colleagues, the geophysicists. What's more, we could record some very important features as far as the architectural elements of the wall are concerned, and the know-how of the local community during the 6th century. Indeed, we could keep on digging deeper in order to investigate a cut, a much later cut, possibly a funerary context. And these made it possible to analyze the prospect of the wall. That's why we were able to distinguish 3 overlapping rows of different kind of stones. Down, the first row was made up of volcanic large boulders, strong and heavy. The second row was a mix of those volcanic stones and tuff stones, much lighter and weaker. The last one, possibly the one that could be perceived and seen by the people walking along the path, was made exclusively of yellow tuff stones. As said, lighter, weaker, but even much more elegant. This road had a funerary and ritual ceremonial function. It allowed the families living here in Bisenzio to pay visit and give offerings to their own ancestors. Indeed, in that direction, in another sounding, we brought to light the remnants of a huge burial mound. In this sounding, we brought to light the remnants of a burial mound. It's rather relevant, this discovery. Actually, at the beginning of the 20th century, the archaeologists located here in Bisenzio, in Olmobello, 2 burial mounds. So we knew that the local community adopted these peculiar funerary monument, but the numbers were still low. Now we can increase the frequency of these funerary monuments here in Bisenzio. This is a 6 meter, slightly more than 6 meter in diameter burial mound, and it hosted in the center a grave. Unfortunately, the tomb looters largely destroyed this stone circle. Actually, we recognize at least 3 different actions, and they aimed at the central burial and they discovered it. But these lootings didn't take place in modern era, most plausibly during the Renaissance. That's why the tomb looters left many shards of pottery vessels, as well as some iron objects. And those shards and iron elements allowed us to canvass the chronology and the social status of the dead. What's more, we uncovered some fragments, very small, tiny fragments of glass beads. That's why we can assert that these tombs hosted a woman with her burial offerings, among which there were some spits and fire dogs. So that woman had the right to cook and offer the other member of the family meat. These objects, together with the glass beads and the Etrusco-Corinthian fragments, make it possible to picture a quite high-ranking individual buried here. And it goes along with this majestic monument.